Hi folks, HR Funk here. Yesterday I opened up my email and there was an email in there, a promotional email that is, from Smith & Wesson announcing their new iteration of their M&P pistol. And the thing that's revolutionary about this new design is the fact that it has a frame made out of alloy, or aluminum if you will. And when I saw that, the old phrase, everything old is eventually new again, came to mind because I thought for the last 2 or 3 decades, firearms manufacturers, to include Smith & Wesson, have been telling us that alloy/aluminum frames are archaic, they're not going to be used anymore, that polymer, i.e. plastic, is the new modern material that's going to usher us into a future handgun age, and that's going to be the wave of the future, if you will. So when I saw Smith & Wesson taking a step back to, again, producing a pistol with a metal aluminum frame, it really just struck me, and I thought how ironic that is, and it made me start thinking of the classic Smith & Wesson metal frame pistols from several decades ago. In fact, I was talking to ERJG, and he had the exact same thought. When he first saw that email, he said that it made him think of the Smith & Wesson Model 59. And I couldn't agree more, and the more I thought about it, the more I thought maybe it's time for one of my old versus new shootouts with the old Smith & Wesson, in my case that being a Smith & Wesson Model 5904 that was manufactured circa 1991, and my M&P 2.0 9mm that I purchased in 2017, and up until yesterday that was the most recent or most modern version of the M&P pistol. And I thought I wanted to pit these two against each other and see if we really saw 30 years worth of advancement from the 5904 to the M&P 2.0. So here is my Model 5904 9mm pistol. Some of you may have seen the complete review I did on this a few years ago. And when I said a couple of moments ago that we're looking at performance over the course of 3 decades or 30 years, that's really something of a misstatement because the basic design of the Model 59 goes back to the early 70s. I believe 1971 is when the 59 first saw the light of day. And there are elements of this design that go back much, much farther. In basic terms, it is a 9mm semi-automatic with a double action, single action trigger system, meaning that when the shooter comes up to fire the first shot, they squeeze the trigger, the hammer cocks, and then fires the pistol. After that, when the slide cycles, the hammer stays cocked, and each successive shot is fired single action. If the shooter has a cocked pistol and wishes to decock it without firing the pistol, the shooter simply rotates the safety decocker to the down position, that safely drops the hammer, and when the safety is returned to the fire position, the trigger is now back in double action mode. In terms of material, it has an alloy frame, which up until yesterday we were told is old-fashioned, archaic, etc., etc. It has a blued steel slide, a stainless steel barrel, and it does have from the factory, or I should say did have from the factory, hard plastic grips. You can see that I've replaced the grips on this pistol with some Hogue rubber grips, which was one nice thing about these older pistols. It made grip replacement much simpler. Now the M&P does have replaceable grip inserts, so you can customize the grip somewhat to the shooter's hand, but it was a little bit more effective, I think, when you could replace the entire grip and radically change the contour. And again, when we look at the Hogue grip that's on here, we see that it is nice and hand-filling. It has a good contour, and it also helps to soak up a little bit of the recoil. Fighting out of the blue corner is my M&P 9 2.0. This also has a full review. If you go back through the videos on my channel, you'll be able to find it. And I've got to say, I have always shot this pistol very, very well. Something with the M&P line that has always been perfect for me is the grip design. It fits my hand perfectly. It allows me to point this pistol very naturally. The sights come up on target very effectively. And this was the pistol that I carried during the latter third of my law enforcement career. Not this one specifically, but an M&P pistol. This one I carried for a little over 2 years as chief of police just a couple of years ago. The 5904, on the other hand, is the pistol that I took with me to the academy. Again, not this specific pistol, but a 5904, just like it, is the pistol that I took with me to the academy. I shot it very well in the academy, and I carried the 5904 for the first year or so of my career, and a third generation Smith & Wesson for about the first third or so of my career. So we've got the pistol I started my career with and the pistol that I finished my career with, and I wanted to again pit them against each other and see just how much performance difference there might be between these two. Now the M&P does benefit from what's generically called a double action only trigger, meaning that the trigger has the exact same trigger pull each and every time the trigger is cycled. So that is a difference in the newer pistol as compared to the 5904 that I demonstrated a moment ago. Also, over the course of 30 years, we picked up 2 rounds of ammunition and capacity. The M&P has a 17-round magazine as opposed to the 15-round magazine in the 5904. And the M&P is slightly lighter. I just weighed these a moment ago. The M&P came in at 28.1 ounces, 28.1 ounces. The 5904 came in at 29.5 ounces, so less than an ounce and a half unloaded with the magazines installed between the weight of these two pistols. So that really doesn't impress me as an enhancement over the course of 3 decades, and 2 rounds of magazine capacity also don't impress me all that much. In terms of reliability, these are both drop-dead reliable handguns. I have never had a problem with either one in terms of reliability. I can't say that I have never ever had a malfunction with either one of these. I can say I don't remember ever having a malfunction with either one of these, but I've done so much shooting with so many different types of handguns that I really can't say for sure one way or the other. Certainly, there have never been enough malfunctions that would be memorable with either one of these. So earlier today, I loaded up my pistols, loaded up my gear, and headed off to the range to start my shootout between these two Smith & Wesson pistols. When I got there, my first order of business was to do an accuracy test between the two. Now, neither of these two is a match grade pistol. They are both defensive / fighting pistols, and they demonstrate that type of accuracy. And really the emphasis is as much or more on reliability between these two as it is in accuracy. Still, I wanted to try 30-foot shooting from the bench on a rest and see what kind of accuracy I could get with both pistols and see if there was an advantage for one design or the other. And here's how it went. So I've got to say, when I finished the accuracy test, I was actually pretty impressed by both of these handguns. Both pistols put 4 out of their 5 shots into about 3/4 of an inch. That we see here for the M&P and up here for the 5904. And each one of them had 1 shot outside the main group. For the 5904, that opened up the entire group to about 1.5 inches. And for the M&P, it opened up the entire group to 1.25 inches. So a slight accuracy advantage going to the M&P. But again, I thought the accuracy was pretty comparable. Looks like I could probably give that rear sight on my 5904 a couple of taps to the left. But otherwise, I was not really seeing 30 years worth of accuracy enhancement in the M&P over and above the 59. So I found that to be kind of interesting, but I also knew that, as I said before, these are defensive or fighting handguns, so I suspected the real difference, if there was going to be one, would come in the defensive drills. So next, I switched over to some silhouette type targets and backed off to a distance of 5 yards, and from that distance of 5 yards, I was working on double tap drills, starting with the pistol at a chest ready position, or a tight low ready position if you will. And on the signal to fire, I came up, and as quick as I could acquire the sights, I fired 2 shots into the body of the target, and I also timed this so I could look at how quickly I was able to get those shots on target as well as the accuracy. And in terms of speed, I was firing as fast as I felt I could accurately keep shots on the target. Again, I was not spraying and praying, I was trying to come up and fire well-aimed shots. And here's how it went. And on those double tap drills, the 5904 had an average time of 2.15 seconds, 2.15 seconds, and the M&P 9 had an average time for each double tap of 2.07 seconds. So a difference of 8/100ths of a second between the two pistols, but I really don't think that tells the whole story, because the time definitely favored the M&P, albeit slightly. We're talking 8/100ths of a second, so it's not a great deal of time. But the accuracy between the two really catches my attention. With the 5904, I've got 4 out of the 6 shots that are on the heart, 1 good lung shot, and then 1 that I pulled. And I'm not sure what happened here. All the shots felt good, the sights looked good as I pressed the trigger, but somehow I managed to pull that shot off to the left. Whereas with the M&P, and as I said before, it really points well for me, I have 6 shots that are all on the heart, and with a faster average time. So while the 5904 was certainly adequate for defensive purposes from that distance, albeit with 1 errant shot, which was undoubtedly my fault, the M&P was superior in terms of accuracy and time, and I think that was very significant. I was even impressed myself when I saw all 6 of those shots on the heart with that faster time, as I said, in the average time of 2.07 seconds. Next, it was back to 7 yards for failure drills. Again, I was starting in the tight low ready position, and on the signal to fire, I was coming up and firing 2 shots to the body and 1 shot to the head as fast as I felt I could accurately keep shots on target, and here's how they went. So I've zoomed in a little bit, so hopefully you can see the location of these shots easier. The shots for the failure drills are marked with the green circles, and when I finished the failure drills, the disparity in terms of time between the 2 handguns was much more noticeable than it was when I completed the previous drill. For the 3 failure drills, the M&P had an average time of 3.31 seconds, and the 5904 had an average time of 3.95 seconds. So on average, over half a second longer to fire out my 3 rounds with the 5904 than with the M&P. Now I think the double action, single action trigger transition is a small part of that time difference, but I don't think it's the main part. I think the big thing we're seeing with the faster times with the M&P is just that much more natural pointing characteristic that I talked about earlier in the video. When I come up on target with the M&P, the sights come right on target, and all I have to do is press the trigger and the bullets go where I want them to go. With the 5904, it doesn't have quite that natural pointing characteristic that I have with the M&P, and we see that reflected in the accuracy as well. With the M&P, all of my body shots from those failure drills are good heart and lung hits, and I've got 3 good headshots. With the 5904, I don't have bad body shots. They are mostly lung shots with a couple of heart shots. I've got 2 pretty good headshots and then 1 errant shot again, which is the same thing we saw the last time around with an errant shot on the double tap drills. And we saw that repeat itself with the headshot on the failure drills. So again, I think a big part of what we're seeing here is just that very natural pointing, for me anyway, with the M&P 9 pistol. So for the final stage of my shootout, I backed off to a distance of 50 feet from the targets, and on the signal to fire, once again starting in that tight low ready position, I came up and fired 5 rounds into the body of the target as fast as I felt that I could accurately keep shots on target. And here's how that drill went. So the 50-foot stage turned out to be the most lopsided victory of the entire shootout for the M&P, and I marked the shots from the 50-foot stage with the red stickers. And first off was the time. The time for the M&P to shoot 5 rounds in this drill from a distance of 50 feet was 6.53 seconds, 6.53 seconds. It took 9.15 seconds to fire those 5 rounds with the 59.04. So over 2.5 seconds difference in the time limit, and even so, shooting at that much faster tempo with the M&P, I have 2 heart shots and 3 lung shots, so I was very happy with that shooting with the M&P from that distance. And with the 59.04, oddly, the best shot of the entire group was the very first double action shot, which was pretty much right down the middle here. That's a good spine shot, clipped the lung, and then for whatever reason, I started pulling the shots low and to the left. Now, typically for a right-handed shooter, that means the shooter is anticipating the recoil and giving the pistol a little bit of a push. I don't think I was doing that. I'm not sure what happened. The shots felt good, they looked good. When I squeezed the trigger and was looking at the sights, they look awful on the target. So I felt like I redeemed myself a little bit with the M&P when I shot this over here, but the shooting with the 59.04 from that distance just wasn't all that great. So folks, a couple of things here at the end of the video. First off, I did not expect the results to be nearly this dramatic. I thought the performance between these two pistols was going to be much, much closer, and I really didn't know going into this which one I thought was going to come out on top. In the end, it was pretty lopsided when we look at the performance of the M&P as opposed to the performance of the 59.04. So maybe there really is 3 decades worth of performance enhancement in the M&P pistol as opposed to the traditional 59.04. And it really pains me to say that because I'm such a fan of the traditional 3rd generation, or maybe I should just say the traditional Smith & Wesson semi-autos. And I know there's going to be one viewer who's going to be very, very unhappy to hear me say that. Sorry, ER, I got to call him as I see him. Folks, one last thing before I wrap it up here today. If you're a fan of these old versus new shootouts, let me know. I enjoy doing these. I think they're fun. And if you like to watch them, and there's enough people who like to watch them, I'll do some more. I would like to do a Beretta APX versus M9 shootout. I wouldn't mind doing my Smith & Wesson 469 versus, say, an M&P compact. I think that might be fun. And I'd like to do some other ones. Maybe a SIG 226 versus my M18. That might be fun. So let me know. I like doing them. Like I said, if you like watching them, I'll do some more. Well, folks, based on this shootout, I might have to give that new alloy frame M&P a try. But that's going to do it for the video today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, as always, make sure you forward those to me. Remember, if you purchase anything from Optics Planet, be sure to use my discount code, which is... And if you use that discount code, it's good for 5% off anything you purchase from Optics Planet. Also remember, warbirdbunker.com is making t-shirts for the channel. If you go to warbirdbunker.com, you can find my t-shirt there, as well as all of Nathan's other firearms and patriotic themed gear. And if you use my discount code at warbirdbunker.com, which is HRFunk4U, that'll save you 10% off your purchase from warbirdbunker.com. And last and certainly not least is Hot Munitions. Remember, Hot Munitions is the new discount code for the channel. If you go to Hot Munitions and use my discount code there, which is HRFunk10, that'll save you 10% off your purchase from Hot Munitions. See you next time, folks. And until then, good shooting. Bye-bye.